Yes, good afternoon, class. Last week, we were able to cover a range of things things that are expected of someone putting in for literature and English examination, O level, precisely. So, continuing on that, I would be very brief as regards that, and I'm positive that today, by the grace of God, I should be able to share with you the last marking guide used for WAEC, the WAEC marking guide used last year. You know, it's the one that begins the syllabus. It's the one that begins the new set of syllabus 2021 to 2020 till 2024. So without wasting time today, I would I wouldn't even be revisiting this. I just want you to take a very good look at this. Things you should take note of as your final checklist. Mm, your introduction, mhm, the main body, that is the content of what you've written and how you've concluded what you've written. You know, it's not a joke. You are answering an essay question, 20 marks, or let's say 25 marks, and you think you can just write anything. You don't mind whether you don't mind your coercive element. You don't mind whether your ideas, whether they flow, how your ideas flow into one another. You are less concerned about that. You've written just a paragraph or two, and you think you are done. No. So your introduction must be superb. It must be catchy. It must get the attention of the examiner. It is that introduction of yours that would interest the examiner to read, even though it is expected that examiners read through. But you know, there are some scripts you would come across, barely looking at the first paragraph, or let's say the first 2 3 lines, or the whole content, flimsing through, or flipping through rather. You can easily adjudge, even though it said that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. You can easily adjudge that, oh, this is cramp, this is rubbish, or this is okay. Or maybe if someone had used the student had written something attractive in the introductory paragraph, the examiner will definitely want to read through. Mm? So your introduction matters. It's important. It's in the introduction that you will clarify that you understand the topic and you have a wider idea about the background. In fact, bigger than the scope of the question that is being asked. You've been asked to comment on the setting of a particular book, but before, in your introductory paragraph, you've given us the name of the book, the writer, the year it is published, the central idea in the central idea in the book, and how the setting affects how the setting affects the book. Barely looking at that in the introductory paragraph, the examiner would definitely want to read on and on. Mm? Then does the main body of the essay present your key point properly? What about the sequence? What should come first? What should come next? Even though it is literature, but it is only when you are writing your own fiction, or it is when you are writing your own text, you are writing your own book, then you can decide to be creative. You can decide to be creative in your own style of writing, in a way you decide to what to particularly order your work. You know, there is this term in literature called in media res. In Can I type? Okay, I can't share two things at the same time. In media res is a compound word. In hyphen media hyphen res, res. This is It's a literary writing style in which the story does not follow the linear plot structure. Eh? It is always, it is not chronological. You might decide to, okay, let's assume you want to tell the story of your life, and you begin from the present state or present stage that you are in. And by devising the use of, let's say, flashback, by devising the means of flashback, you go back to when you were born. That's in media res. You start from the middle, you go to the front, you go to the beginning, initial stage, you go back to the terminal or final stage. That's your own style of writing. And some people, to write a story like that, they will begin from maybe 2005. In the year 2005, a beautiful bouncing baby boy was, they begin like that. The year they were born, what happened in 2006, they follow that linear order. Some people don't follow that. However, when you are answering literature question, we are so particular about the what, about the flow of your idea. I believe you get that. Then your conclusion too. You've given us the essay. You've stated your point clearly. Now we need a paragraph to what? A paragraph to conclude what you've written. Some examiners are lazy. They just go through to the they go through your what? Introductory paragraph first. And after the introductory paragraph, they go to the concluding paragraph. It is only when they are convinced with what you've written that they would go through to read the whole content. An examiner that has a 100 or a 150 or 200 scripts to mark. So they wouldn't want to waste their time. It is when they've seen that, oh, this person had come to a logical conclusion, or this is a perfect introduction. That is when they now go into the what? That's when they go into your content. That's when they read in between the lines to identify the three main points that I told you last week that every examiner look out for in what? In literature scripts. I believe you get that. And moving further from there, we should also note, come in. Okay, I believe I won't be going through this, but let me display it for a minute or two. Let me display it for a minute or two. At least it will help reshaping your mindset as to how to answer literature in English question. You can look out for the words, for the sentences that are emboldened. You can look out for the sentences emboldened in all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, in all the 7 paragraphs. You can look out for that. When you want to go through it, when you are watching the video later on, you can pause.
Sorry, can you widen it? It's kind of
It's tiny. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me see. How about now? And let me see if I can have it in landscape. Okay. Okay. I think it should be better now.
yes, quite okay.
Okay. Okay. Examination can be daunting. Let me just take my time to go through a little, because I want to quickly share the marking guide for last year's exam. We'll run through the questions and okay, beside displaying it, I think I should convert the photographs for the last year's marking guide, but I don't think you need that as a student. I should have I could convert it to PDF and share it as a file. But I think I will do the same now. I will share it in images so that you can see. All right. Okay. This is looking for, I took the picture. Let me see where it begins from. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at this. Question 2. It says, let me lock my screen. Okay. Question 2 says, oh, these images are not in the right sequence. I think I should just ignore that for now and convert it to PDF, and maybe subsequently I can share. I think that's the best thing so that we won't waste our time. I took the images randomly. I took the images and now trying to fit which one should come first. It's becoming a problem, and it's wasting our time. We are 15 minutes behind. So let me share images I took in isolation. Now let's quickly run through a book. Let's quickly run through the idea of a book in the syllabus, The Lion and the Jewel by Wole Soyinka. The Lion and the Jewel by Wole Soyinka. So The Lion and the Jewel is written in the 60s. It was published in 1962, and it's a comedy. Let's put it that way. It is a comedy, and besides being a comedy, it satirizes the happenings in Africa that are just countries in Africa then were just gaining independence. Countries in Africa then were just gaining independence. Some have already gained independence, while a few others haven't. Now, as a result of independence, the incidents that led to independence is actually colonization. It is actually colonization, and colonization comes with civilization, and it comes with commerce. So, as we all know, when a foreign country comes into indigenous areas, come to indigenous places in Africa to colonize them, definitely there would be something we call cultural interference. There would be a mix. And as a result of this mix, we tend to what? We tend to imitate. We tend to copy things that are from outset not in our mixed with is Ilujile. The setting is Ilujile, and there are 4 major characters in the text, or 3 major characters. Let me put it that way. We have Lakunle, we have Sidi, we have Baroka, and we have so I told you that if at all there is any question in literature text, if there's any question in literature that you will need to ask me, and you're unable to do so during the course of the class, you can forward your questions to the coordinators, either Mr. Sunday or Miss Aisha. So you can forward your questions to them. When you forward those questions to them, they would get to me, and they would be attended. They would be responded to. So obviously, Lion and the Jewel is a conflict. Is a conflict between what? Modernity and traditionality. It's a conflict between modernity and traditionality. And that is, it's a conflict between Western values and traditional values. Lakunle represents Western values, while Baroka, the Bale of Ilujinle, represents traditional values. And besides that, if you are not looking at the text from that purview or from that angle, you can also look at it as a conflict between 2 generations. That is, the younger generation and the older generation, where the younger generation is represented by Lakunle, a 20, and Sidi, who is barely 18. While the older generation is represented by Baroka, who is 62 years old, and in fact, this is his first wife, Sadiku, whom he inherited from his late father, Okiki. Now, besides that, now it's also mentioned in the text. Hope all is well. Hope all is well, Mr. Jason.
Having issues with my network. Sorry about that.
Okay, all right.
Continue.
Let me recap. All right. So, so you will see that Badagry, Lagos, Ibadan, and Saro. I think Saro is Yoruba name for Sierra Leone. I think Ile Saro. That's what I think. That's what people say. So those are the places mentioned. Those are the places mentioned in the text. Mhm. So that's that about the physical setting, that is the space. Now the temporal setting, time setting. Now what you should notice that as regards the temporal setting, that is the time setting, it is set in post-colonial era. That is, it is set after 1960. You should note that, and besides that, the concept of time in the text, the concept of setting as used in the text shows that this book took place in just one day. So if this book is acted, it took place in just one day. Probably you would have read books like that or watched films that are like that. Every action, even if it is acted for, even if it is a 2 hours of 10 hours or 8 hours film, everything that took place there will happen in just one day. So these are the things that set the book aside, and you might be asked to comment on why this is so. Mm. So as you all know, as literature students, that in the breaking down, in the breaking down of drama text, it should be broken down into things. It should this text is quite different this year. The book is written in 3 parts. So Wole Soyinka did not make use of act and sense in Lion and the Jewel. It is written in 3 parts, and the first part is morning, the second part is known. The second part is known, or let me say, if it is written in 3 scenes. The first scene or the first part, morning, the second scene or the second part, noon, and the third scene is what happens in the third scene or the third part happens in the what, in the night. So everything took place in just what? Everything took place in just one day. Now, you all should have should have an idea of what happened. The You all should be familiar with the discourse in this text. It is a tussle between people of two generations, two people of two different generations that are influential in Ilujinle in their own way. One is a Bale, that is Baruka, while the other is is uh, is this village teacher, or let's say the village headmaster, or the village school teacher, whichever one you might want to call him. So there is this tussle between them as to who is going to have the hands of a village belle, who is going to have the hands of this village belle in marriage. That is the conflict. That is the conflict in this, and that is the conflict in this text. Now, remember I told you that there is a conflict as well as regards uh, traditionality and uh, and modernity. Now the problem lies in Lakunle insisting that he would marry Sidi without paying what? Without the payment of the bride price. He sees it as a barbaric custom, paying a bride price for before marrying off a lady. He sees it as something barbaric. He likened it during the course of the text. He likened it to like going to the market and paying for a goat. In the text, you would see Haifa, Heifer. So that is what he likened it to. But critics have said that he is only saying that, or he is only particularly concerned about that because he is wretched and poor. Because he is unable to afford He's unable to afford it. And you would definitely see during the course of the text that being half baked, being half baked or being semi-literate comes with its what? Come with its huge problem. So you would see it during the you would definitely see it during the course of the during the course of reading the during the course of reading the text. Now, take note, Lakunle is not married, he is single, and he projects that if he is able to marry CD, he projects that what is obtainable in foreign marriage culture, where a man stays a man stays faithful, a man stays faithful to his only wife, just one wife. But that is not the case with Baroka. He keeps a harem of wives. He marries every season. He marries every year. So if there is any beautiful lady in town, definitely Baroka would find his own means. Baroka would craftily devise a means of what of getting them, of either impregnating them, or let's say the flower. Okay, there's nothing like the flower. Impregnating them, or you would find a means of impregnating them. Okay, there is the flower, there's not this virgin. Okay. That is what he does. So now Baroka wouldn't have taken any special interest in CD, but this is what happened. Let me paint it to you that during the course of this text also, you would observe that there are three mimes. There are three mimes. A mime is also called a pantomime. You should note that a mime is dance drama, acting without words, acting with actions and without words, performing roles without expressing words. That is what a mime is. Eh? They just gesticulate, making use of their what? Making use of their body parts, kinesics and prosemics. They make use of body languages instead of what? Verbal communication. That is what a mime is. You will discover that there are three mimes in the text. And those three mimes particularly help Soyinka to what? To maintain this storyline as a one-day event. Because with this mime, it was this mime in particular that he uses as what? He used as flashback. He used those mimes as flashback to tell you about events that took place long before CD's birth, long before what? Long before Lakunle's birth himself. Mhm. References were made to Baroka's father and grandfather. It was through the use of what? It was through the use of flashback. Now, it happened that a photographer, a stranger visited Ilujinle. A stranger was going through Ilujinle, capturing natural sights and beautiful places. Then, unfortunately, his motor car developed a fault, and he was unable to fix it. As a result of being unable to fix the car, he started trekking. And in the course of trekking, he came across a village stream where some village bells are, some are washing, some are bathing. And being a photographer, he has he has his camera hung around his neck, and you know, he left his car with his camera hung around his neck and a bottle of beer. So he was already drunk. So, but even despite being drunk, a professional with his artistry, he was able to cite, he was able to cite a very beautiful village bell at the stream. And this village bell happened to be Sidi. So it was at that moment he was convinced of the what he was convinced about the beauty, and he started taking random pictures of that girl who happened to be Sidi, which he intend to take to what? To take to Lagos to serve as cover images, and to serve as cover images for magazines and all these fashion newspapers and the likes. They call it modeling. You know, beautiful images taken of girls or boys as regards fashion. They say they are modeling agencies, right? So this is what he intended to do before he was caught. He was seen. So Ilujile is a primitive town that had never witnessed what civilization is. The closest experience they had to civilization will also be displayed in a mime. That was when they wanted to construct a railway line that would go through Ilujinle, which would have made the town a trade hub. Displayed in the mime then that Baroka bribed the surveyor, bribed the contractor that were to do this work, because it
Mr.
was said that
Tosin,
he is afraid of what?
you have
Sir?
6 minutes to go.
Yes, that he is afraid. 6 minutes. That he is this 36. Okay. That he is afraid of what? He is afraid of technological advancement. He is afraid of modernization. That he is afraid of. So he bribed the contractor. Then you would get to see this because Lakunle would narrate it to CD, just to what? Just to ensure that CD doesn't take interest in Baroka, who CD sees nothing wrong in marrying him, despite the huge age difference. As long CD is only concerned that, oh, willing to pay the bride price, then she has no problem than to what? Than to marry him instead. Because this is what he sees it as. Traditional values and custom comes in here. She sees it that if a woman should get married without the bride price being paid, that she would become a laughing stock. It would be that she has been sold off or she is not a virgin. And CD is a virgin. CD is a virgin. So she doesn't want a situation where the village people will mock her or turn her into into a spitting bowl. That is the word that is used in the text. Into a spitting bowl. So eventually, Baroka, let me quickly round it up. Let me round it up. So the photographer came back to town. When the photographer came back to town with the magazine, he was able to go back to Lagos. He came back to town with the magazine, and CD's images flooded the magazine. As a result of that, CD's name, CD's images became more popular than even the town, became more popular than the ballet. This made the ballet so jealous and envious that he is determined to what? To marry CD no matter what it takes. Because the ballet's image also appeared in the magazine, but it appeared only once, and it was placed on the same page with the village latrine, unlike unlike CD's own that was that flooded, unlike CD's own that flooded the magazine. So the ballet spoke to Sadiko, go and help me convince this girl to come and charity. And so this thing went into Sadiku's into Sidi's head. She sees herself as superior, and this is the beginning. This is what marked her downfall. How did it mark her downfall? So he decided, he she the Bale the Bale told Sadiku, his first wife, to what? Told Sadiku, his first wife, to go and invite Sidi for a dinner with him. So Lakunle tried convincing and stopping her that you better don't try it. This is the trick that the Bale always use to what? To get new girls. By the time you go there for dinner, you come back what? You come back being slept with. So immediately, Sidi rejected the view. Sidi is so determined now that she doesn't even want to marry either Lakunle or Baruka. That he is way bigger than she is way bigger than they are now. So Baruka is very tricky. What did he do? Then he pretended that he had lost his manhood. He pretended he had lost his manhood, and he knew fully well that Sadiku, his first wife, that he inherited from his late father, is flippant. She's a talkative. She talks a lot. So that was how he confided in Sadiku that he's surprised though that he's just 62 and he is no longer potent. Unlike his father still gave birth at 65. His great grandfather Okiki gave birth at 67 to twins. At 67, that is just 62. He doesn't know that the main reason why he wanted Sidi was because Sidi is a virgin, and he believed that probably if he comes in contact, if he had an intercourse with a virgin, his manhood will become potent again and functioning. So hearing this, Sadiku jumped outside, rushed to the square to inform Sidi that, thank God, though, come and rejoice, the ballet is no longer potent. So that was how Sidi foolishly fell for the trap. She foolishly fell for the trap and decided to go. Someone who had decided not to go for the dinner again now had changed her mind that, okay, I will go for the dinner now to feast with the ballet. But she is going there with the intention of mocking the ballet. So upon getting there, they are both good with words. They are both very good with words. One thing led to the other. Baruka was able to win her, and she lost her virginity. She came back crying after losing her virginity, and she had no option than to marry the ballet. Now your assignment now would be that you should comment on the characters. Pass a comment on the 4 major characters